we have two bugs. Production bugs. Might be possibility production bug will come. So it's again, if as per the theoretically methodology as a Scrum, if your Scrum team have the time to handle this bug, he will do. First thing. Second thing, prioritizing of this bug depend upon the product owner. Product owner will look this bug and he thinks it should be fixed then and there. Then you have to stop the bug. You have to do this job first. That is the thing. If he thinks, okay, let the sprint is going on, next sprint we will fix. Then again, this is the product backlog. It will become as a product backlog. Next time it will be in priority stop. Our team will pick that prioritize items and do the job. Understand?
But if it is high priority, then the second sprint will be stopped in between. And
if the second sprint is stopped between, means it's a cancel.
Okay.
A sprint cancel. There is no any resume and restart. Resume and pause type of things. Resume and pause is no any here. If there is something like changes is there, it might be possibility something product owner keeping and the sprint came into the market having some big problem. Product owner is having more priority to do this first job, and our Scrum team told that is telling no, it will take whole sprint. Then the current sprint will cancel.
No, mainly what happens is site issues generally take 1 or 2 days mostly. But the sprint is of 2 weeks. And suppose we have completed 1 week of the next sprint, and there is a task of 2 days only from the site, and maybe not the whole team. Out of 5 team members, only 2 will be deployed on that task. Then the whole sprint will be cancelled and new sprint will be managed.
No, I was telling that is depend upon the Scrum team. That a Scrum team is telling that we need to do the job up to the whole sprint, then cancel. But if it needs only 2-man task, so based upon that 2-man task, their priority, whatever the 2 person is doing the job on the particular job of the sprint will stop, resume, and he will start to the work of this particular.
Basically, the sprint will be postponed accordingly.
That's their task only, not a sprint then. Because if the 3% is just still working on the sprint. 3% is just still working on the sprint.
But their task will impact the release. No? There may be some tasks which are dependent on other team members.
Suppose 5% and the story is 5. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One story, 2 stories is impacted by the bug. Okay. But 3, 4, 5, 3 stories will be done. So 3 stories is done will come into the sprints. With these 2 bugs and the same 2 story will go back to the product backlog. Next time it will come into the sprint.
But their tasks may be the dependent ones, no? But their tasks may be the
dependent. If there is no problem, no? Where I am saying that, if of course might be possibility the task is dependent one. Meanwhile, what will happen? Their whole task will be wait on the continuous CI server. Not in release means production release. Not possibility. There is a very less possibilities. There is very less chance. Very less chance every sprint is going to the release means production release. Release means soft release, and soft release means a sprint release means soft release, and it will come up to the either CI server or some centralized build server. Keep in mind, don't integrate this with the DG photo. I don't know how the DG photo is managing. If they will get a chance, I will get a chance to give them some session, then I will let them know. But yeah, every sprint is not in release. Release is bunch of 2 or 3 or 4 sprints. You can't do the every sprint in release.
But
yes.
we have to release the.
I will come to you. Yes.
But we have to release the sprint on time. We have to
Yes. That is the. If a sprint is 2 weeks, either you have done the job or not. You go to.
Can we increase the team size in that case? Very fortunate is permanent. We don't want to.
Generally, we do not have the fashion to increase the team size in a sprints. We generally have less fashion to increase the team size.
In DG photo we do.
That is the different thing. DG photo is not following the agile methodology. Yes, Manish, you have questions? Yes. Yeah.
There are 5 members in the team, and there are some production issues coming up, and 2 team members are involved in fixing those issues. The rest 3% will keep working on the sprint item.
Yeah.
The items which will be impacted due to this production issue fixing, those issues will be shifted to the next sprint. The impacted one only.
Okay.
And all other items of all the team members will be released with the planned sprint date.
Yes, that's what. Means your concern is like if they're impacted, might be shifted to the next sprint. If not, then okay.
No, actually, see, the scenario is, suppose there is an issue on production, okay, which is actually affecting the current sprint task.
This is very rare chance.
This might
Very
be,
rare.
this might
Listen
be
me, listen me first. If that are the things that your released one is affected on the current sprint going, means who is your product owner? Their product backlog is very, their product backlog is very false one, and their means can say like the story. A story is not like a story wise. You are doing the job on AP. That some of the stories there and some of the stories there. It's a very rare chance, very rare. And if these things is happen like your release one is affecting the current sprint, you need not to release first. You need not to release. Like suppose I will come here. Like suppose you are creating a student info, okay? And in the student info, you are giving the first sprint. Suppose first sprint giving the ad, and there is no any update. An update is in the second sprint. Means you are not putting these things into the release. You will put the release. Put release means production release. Means go live release. So what happens this sprint where the ad functionality would be, this ad functionality would be only in the continuing CI server. CI server is a centralized server in a simple and a layman term. CI server is a centralized server where the sprint work is accumulating one by one. So once the update method will be worked in the next sprint, again it will come to the CI server. Then add an update. You think like add an update can go to the release, then it will come to the production line. So you are not thinking. If you are a Scrum team, it's not your thinking. Then the business analyst, product owner, or Scrum master will sit together, give some idea about the release planning, and release planning done the initial of the project.
But what he is saying can be possible because if we are developing some functionality, there may be a case that we will release an initial version of that functionality, and in the next sprint we are modifying that functionality only. We are
Modifying, okay.
modifying or we are enhancing that functionality only.
Enhancing and modifying an initial. It's not totally dependent. It's a SOA architecture. Again, object-oriented type of architecture. Whatever creating, you are in the initial phase. It's not affecting your enhanced one. If again it's or your initial phase architecture is affecting on the enhanced one, means it's not your initial one. Something problem with your initial one.
There may be case. For example, if we are implementing a functionality like RFID integration, for example, and in the first sprint we have planned that we will normally do a direct association of the photos with RFID, and we will release it. A simple workflow. And in the second sprint we have defined some other scenarios also, and which will be dependent on the initial structure of the application. Definitely they will depend on the initial structure of the application, base structure. But due to some bug or any production issue, we found out that there is a need to update the structure for some scenarios. There may be a case where
means it came after the release that they thought like they need to update.
Yeah, no. They need to update. We have already planned the update, but there is a bug in the initial structure. So we have to, when we remove that bug from the initial structure, then it will also impact the next sprint plan, the updates we have already planned. There may be a case.
Then on that case, first of all, then that case means the planning of that product backlog is totally can say like fake type of things. But if you plan like this way, you have to stop the current sprint first of all. Because your current sprint is directly affecting of that bug also. You have to stop that. Means on that case you will cancel that sprint. Once you cancel, the product owner will work on that bugs. Oh, how prioritize these bugs and we need to do this sprint. Then you will start, the Scrum team will start to working on that bug. First sprint. Once it will done, then based upon the first sprint with bug and second on future sprints, they will think it's a isolated functionality or not. If isolated, can do into the production, then it will go to the production, or still it will wait to the CI server. A second sprint will start, then merge together, then it should go to the production, because it might affect someone and again the end user. Ultimate You are working with the low level functionality and accumulating together. Means it doesn't mean that the low level functionality should all the time should go to the production. Production will always have some level of the functionality, not like the only low level of the functionality. That a sprint doesn't say, or a Scrum doesn't say, put every sprint into the release. Accumulate a sprint, then put into the release. Where I was? Yes, next. Manoj.
One question.
Yes.
In the previous slide, there is a vertical slicer. It's a three-tier architecture: GUI, BLND.
It's only for replication, it's only for depicting like that. We can do this type of things or architecture based.
So what is this vertical slice?
Vertical slice means what we're like. We're creating a job. I mean, vertical slice. Come here. We are creating an add method. Okay. So in add method, like a student information is an add method. So add method means you are not going to writing the code of add method directly into the click button. How you will write? You will come into the GUI first, create the GUI, some business logic, some database layer. So when you are doing the job of that one particular add method, add functionality, this whole thing should be managed. It's not like that the add button will come in GUI in this sprint, and the next 3 sprint, the database layer of that add method will be right. Understand my point? So it should be coming vertical slice. Like add method is coming in this sprint. We need to do our practice like a business layer, database layer should also come of that add method in the same sprint or up to the next sprint, depend upon the complexity of work. We
have planned for 2-week sprint.
Yes.
So can we have a demo with the client?
Yes, coming. That will come into picture. Yes. That is it coming to this. All the matter is the prioritized method. Next. So, Vas, you have some questions?
In a Scrum team, there will be no one who will be dedicated for only fixing the production work or doing the R&D part.
Again, if you remember, the very first when I was in initial of this, before the breakfast, I told you how to do the R&D. First, will you remember? Okay.
POC.
Yes.
POC, a spike. I told the keyword. Just that is the R&D part. Yeah, that is the R&D part. Yeah, that is the R&D part. Means a sprint. Just imagine like that. A sprint team or a Scrum team means not like the 7 people. This is the one Scrum team. Might be possibility they are also the same Scrum team working for R&D. But what they are working, they are not directly working with the end users like production prospects, but they are all the time they are creating a spike, maybe possibilities. And how they are creating a spike, what is their product backlog? Might be their product backlog is feature or epic, not a story. But the guys who is working here, or you are the Scrum team, you guys are directly working on the defined product. So you are working on the task item. Understand?
So that may be the case that in a Scrum team there may be 2 R&D people or 2 development side people.
If there is only 2 R&D people, there will be a different team. I mean, the R&D means not every sprint have the R&D. Not every sprint. If there is a case of the R&D in a sprint, then almost all are doing the job in the sprint.
So R&D also will not be the part of the Scrum team.
Can say, but it's a part of the Scrum team. It's a part of the Scrum team. But I'm telling you the both scenario. But or might be possibilities 2 guys who is working on the sprint is in R&D. Means R&D means what? R&D means not you are creating in here like you are not creating a R&D feature of the 2 years later. You are just thinking that what will the product will be happen or something feature after 2 months it will be happen according to the market. So that's you are doing the R&D job. If you have more R&D job, like I'm giving the example of the pharmaceutical company, there the R&D is the main part. So they have the different team of the R&D and they are following the sprint team, same as sprint team, a Scrum team.
No, maybe if we take some examples of our live projects. For example, in DigiPhoto,
Yes.
we have 2 different modules, video and images.
Okay.
So for images, there may be a case that one person from the team knows better regarding the image processing than the rest of the team. the rest of the team can work on it if they are guided with what we have to do. But
Guided means if you know the better within team, you can guide. Means not like team lead. Guide means you are helping.
yeah, but that guiding person cannot guide all the time. He can create one POC and share it with the team that we will need
Okay.
like this,
Okay,
and
understood.
you can use it.
Understood.
But that
First
person's job is not only
First
to
question.
guide.
First question.
Yeah.
Why need to do the job on such a POC? POC and a spike means what? If product owner is telling you, do the job, which still is not defined. Like PO is telling you one task, and this task is like a epic. POC means type of epic or type of feature, not a story. Always prove. If there is a story of that particular epic, means you understand everything very clear. That is the story come into the picture. If there is a scenario of the creating a POC or a spike, means it's an epic. So in that case, product owner responsibility, he will not say you that start job working on this. Never they will say like this. A Scrum never allowed to do the job on such a epic or feature. Still you're not supposed to do. I mean, still you don't know anything. Their complexity, their requirement, if not clear, you don't do it directly.
For example,
Go back one slide. Go back one slide.
Go back, Manoj.
no, for example, we have to make one collage function, take example, and no one from the team knows how to make it.
But you know.
But no, not even the R&D person.
Okay. Okay, in that case.
But he has to check that what functionality we can give to our client, the best we can give. So he needs 1 week time to do some R&D and to provide some.
On that, and on your scenario, 2% will start a spike, creating the spike on that scenario, particular scenario.
Yeah.
Other 3% will do the another backlog item.
So that's what I am saying, that person can be the part of that Scrum team,
Yes.
or it will be an outsider.
Yes, yes. That is a specific case. Again, that is a specific
part of
case.
Scrum team, but sprint will not be defined on his availability. The sprint will be defined only on.
I mean, your velocity of the sprint is not affected by that 2 guys, because might be possibility 2 guys failed or passed.
Correct. In that case, it may be the case that for that particular sprint, you are planned for R&D, but the rest 4 are planned for the release,
Yes.
and your task will be good in the next sprint after that POC is done.
After the POC and after the product owner defined out, this one is a POC is defined, POC is created, then product owner will think that whatever the efforts you have put it is feasible for them or not.
Correct.
Then they will put into and you have to do this all.
Can you explain me this first thing? Understanding requirement, estimating, and specifically
Acceptance.
criteria.
Yes, understanding requirements means actually this is the backlog grooming. How to
Let's say one of the backlog is I want to do R&D, RFI. This is the example.
Okay. So now R&D,
That is
RFID.
my backlog.
Yeah.
On that I want to work.
Okay. So understanding RFID, that is the backlog item. First of all, so understanding requirement means the product owner should know that what is the RFID. Means he doesn't know like that someone from the Scrum team or Scrum master asks, oh, what is the RFID and how we will do? And product owner says, no, I don't know RFID. He should know. He understand the requirement. What is the RFID and what he want to implement a specific that criteria. One thing. Second thing, whatever the RFID, if it's not means this is the product backlog grooming means you know that this is a story, not the like epic or not for the POC.
Yes. See, the example here was that we have to integrate RFID. We have to actually, this is just one of the stories to me.
Yeah,
That
that's
story will have an exact expectation that this is expected after this work is done. Once you have that expectation, then you will be able to say, हाँ यार इतनी देर में कर देंगे.
yep.
फिर then it is just part of the sprint.
Yes.
This may not go to production. Maybe this is just writing a document. Writing a document will not go to production.
Yes.
Maybe it would get to production maybe after 5-6 versions. But you need to know each line item, what is the expectations out of that line item.
Yep.
That is very important.
Estimating is the part of that before creating even the once the product owner created the product backlog after 2 or 4 sprints, he will sit with the Scrum master, a Scrum team, and some of the stakeholder to give the some estimation. It's can say like the first initial phase of the estimation of the product backlog. Other than acceptance criteria means putting the RFID. What is your acceptance criteria? How the product owner can say that, oh, this task is done. It's a checkbox. Like you define RFID means what you understand. Nirja.
Sorry.
What's you understand with the RFID? I'm new for the RFID, so don't have idea.
It's a technology to assign some unique
ID.
with any product with
Photo.
inventory or something.
So
to identify this.
okay, so you might have some of the checklist like the ID should be integrated with all the product.
जो बारकोड होता है ना, बारकोड टाइप का ही RFID होता है, मतलब इसमें स्कैन करके कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन इनबिल्ट
Basically वो एक
Okay,
unique
so
ID
okay,
होगा, जो photo map होगा.
so your acceptance criteria would be like first acceptance criteria will be set RFID will be inbuilt. Second set, once I scan the RFID, some information should be come, whatever the information. Third, whatever this list of the checkbox is coming, is this one is the acceptance criteria. So once team has developed like RFID, and you have to come for demo with your product owner, either Prakash or whatever, he will keep the acceptance criteria. He also have the same acceptance criteria, and he will come. Okay, so show me one pass, second pass, third pass. Oh, good. Means whatever the acceptance criteria I had for that particular task, it's okay. Then okay.
So here we are not including the consultancy. So we are not providing the solution. The solution is already there with the product owner, and he is only implementing that solution. So Scrum team doesn't.
Solution means
doesn't
what?
give the
What do you
consultancy to the
understand?
client.
The product owner doesn't have any idea of the technical side. He don't know how to.
Not regarding the technical. There are some cases where we provide the solutions, because we give the consultancy that for RFID implementation for our product we can do something like with RFID. You know RFID is very costly, so we can also give you the functionality of the barcode or the QR code. So this is the type of consultancy.
So again,
here we are not including the consultancy.
This is the some special case. So this is if such type of things, then you have to include like a spike and all those things. Then on that case you have to include in every sprint your 2% will be involved in the spike. Based upon that, next sprint will start based upon that POC.
Because mainly
No, I
we
think
are.
I would like to answer.
Yeah.
See, sprint or Scrum is a process or a way to get a task done. Do not include only technical tasks which goes to production. It can be an R&D task, it can be a business analyst task.
Yes.
One of the tasks could be find out the best solution using RFID or barcode or QR code, and you are finding that out as part of the larger Scrum. That is also Scrum. That is just one task. That task can be coding. That task can be testing. That task can be uploading the website. That task can be finding the right solution. That task can be writing this document. That task can be writing the tasks. Everything can happen as part of the task management workflow.
Means if there is a need of the POC, you have to do like a spike. The keyword is a spike. You have to do. Either if you are the 5 team member, 2 team member might be possibilities doing the spike. Based upon that POC, next sprint will come up to that. Remaining 3 member is doing the job in another task. If it's need of the all 5 member do the POC, you have to do. No problem. Next. Estimation now. Yes.
I just want to know like whether this acceptance criteria is based on a backlog or as per a user story.
User story.
User story. So like we have different kind of backlogs, which is the release backlog, sprint backlog.
That is different
backlog.
thing. I will come up to that.
Okay.
That is a difference. This is totally for the product backlog. Anyone else? Release backlog or sprint backlog, I will come on that. Yes,
What about the UAT cycle?
Huh?
Is there any UAT cycle?
Generally, UATs come after the demo and review in the phase of the review. We generally say the UAT is that one, review. But a specific UAT is not like that in a Scrum. But in the review, whatever they are doing, we are giving the demo in the review time, they will do is like part of the UAT. Yes. Okay. Now, come to the picture, estimation. We have how to do the estimation in a story. How the thing is doing estimation. One estimation is doing this in the story or especially in the Scrum is that t-shirt size. Like in a sprint planning, when or in the estimation. Generally, product backlog estimation is us doing from before the sprint planning. Like we have the bunch of the product backlog, product owner is there, a scrum master is there, a scrum team is there, some stakeholder is there, might be possibilities. If so, they will sit together and they will discuss one by one. Okay, this is the task, this is the task. The main estimation technique in a scrum is planning poker. Planning poker. Planning poker. Planning poker. Planning poker is a type of a game. All the scrum team with the product owner and the stakeholder will sit together. They will have the Fibonacci series card. This is a card 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 20, 40, 100. Not more than that. This is also some bondage on that. Not more than that. 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 20, 40, 100. So you have to card on that. Product owner will be flash one task item like create, save a student informations. So here is the team. Just he will see like, oh, create a student information. Might be possibilities. Sally started, oh, she thinks like this is the smaller stories, might be she can do in the 5 story point. So she will flash 5. Ajit might be 3, others might be 10. But Avadh is a new person, very fresher. He is thinking like that, oh, creating a story means might be it will take 20. He will flash 20. So 20 and you flash like 5. So 20 and 5 is, so apart from these two, all will be removed. This is the planning poker game style. So only two guys, who is having the maximum and who is having the lesser, will interact each other. First question will come from the Sally or the Scrum Master will ask, why do you are thinking that it will take the only 3? Sally will say like, oh, because this is only student informations, have to already, I am thinking that GUI is already created, we need to the logic layer, create the logic layer and DB layer, as per her. As per the company tradition and all these things. Avadh will start saying, then again my question would be like with the Avadh, why you are thinking it will be 20? So he will say, why he is thinking he is 20? Again, based upon these communications, same task will again open the planning poker. So since the task has been defined, the way of the work, how to steps of the work defined by the Sally and the Avadh will create a new way to do this job. So again the planning poker will come, and if there is a minimum like someone starting from the Sally started 3 or Sally after the discussion Sally thought that Sally thinks that, oh, might we take 5. I was something wrong on the 3, thinking some less, so it should be 5. Another Ajit also 5, some guys also 8, again 13. So Avadh 13. So again Avadh is a 13. But we in this case we found that most of the cases are using the 5. So average would be 5, and this task is the have the estimation. A story point is 5 and done. That is the planning poker. Understand?
Yes. So what is this story point unit 5? 5 is
It's a unit. Means not. It's a unit only. It's not means 5 days, 5 hours, 5 something. I will come to that point also. But unit, only unit. One task is a story. Okay. One task is a story. A story is the very minimal functionality task where one functionality need to follow is the story, and that have the story point is 5. Might be possibilities 5 means for your term 5 days Sally can do 5 hours only. Maybe possibility depends upon the technical skills and all these things. But that is the different things. It will right now you are doing the estimation of the product backlog. So you are doing here only. In a sprint planning, once you will come with the estimation scenario, in the sprint planning you will pick up the prioritize wise, and based upon the story point you will come to the point that, oh, what is your velocity and how much task this team can do in a bonus scale. Same way you are fascinating there in this G4S, but they are not doing any estimation on there.
I don't know exactly.
But how they are sprint planning maintaining? No sprint planning?
No, they are planning, but I am not yet involved in these kind of.
But a sprint planning means a team member with the team member. You can't do the sprint planning without a team member. Do you have any sprint planning? No.
No.
A standard meeting is only there.
Yes.
Apart from this, any going down chart?
Yeah, they are following, but the program managers and the business analysts are.
Oh, so again hybrid structure. No problem. But the way we are following in the Scrum is like this.
So at the time of estimation, do we consider that who will be going to do that
No,
task?
no.
Because there may be a case that that you have mentioned that if there is a task, if Ajit takes 5 days, and it may be the case that Shelly can do it in 5 hours. So
That come into the picture of a sprint planning.
No,
It's a value estimation.
I'm-
I will come up to that point. I will come to the sprint planning. I will come to the sprint planning. How sprint planning this story point will be held. I will come there. Yes.
Can you please explain it again?
Again,
Like,
planning
what is-
pop-up?
No. What is the difference between the story point and the user story?
User story and a story is the small task item. Okay. But
Story is a task. based.
yeah, and a story point is a measurement unit, not like a unit. Can say like, and it's a based upon person to person what they think for this story will have this type of points. Can say like a complexity type of complexity point. Like creating a add functionality might be very easier for you, but a fresher can have some more understanding. So he has some lack of the technical side. Might be he can take more story point. So he is defining 13 and you are telling 5.
Okay.
So sometimes if 5 only 2% is playing the planning poker, then average of this one will become. Other than this, other than the average, generally the Scrum team is playing, and if there is a means comes like discussion, after the discussion come to the picture that 2 story points becomes like 5 or 8, then generally we use to 5. That is the planning poker.
So,
Yes.
what we say as, what we say boundary value analysis while we create test cases.
Again, say.
So, while we create test cases,
Yeah.
we use a technique called boundary value analysis, in which we, like there are 100 test cases, and we analyze the boundary values, like first and 100 test cases, and assume that all the 98 test cases in between are same.
No, that is a test cases you have to define only up to the sprint level, not the whole and soul. In one sprint, whatever the task or whatever the task or the task sprint backlog comes into the picture, you have to create the test cases of that only in particular sprint. So based upon that, you have to create. And boundary value, I don't have idea.
So like in this case, we are taking the boundaries like 5, you take the example of 5, 5 sprint and 5 is sprint. So these are the boundary values. We discard the sprints in between 8, 13 and all.
It's actually not like that. It's again, a story point is simply a measurement unit. And without any, I mean, it's not depend upon any days, any hour and nothing else. It's nothing depend upon these things. So it's not like that.
Like if we don't know if 5 is equal to the day or hour, then how can we estimate like I'm giving the number 5?
But we have to start.
Then how can I assume that I'm giving the hours?
You know the functionality, okay? Complexity, you know the functionality complexity. So he thinks like that the 5 means might be possibility. Generally it's can say if even it's not the days and hour, but generally we keep into the picture like, oh, we are thinking in hour. But generally, very rare cases, you have to in days and something. In a story points, totally depend upon team to team. Might be possibilities. Your team is doing the job, 5 story point. Viren team is doing their estimation for the 20 story point. The same things might be possibility. Why? Because you might be thinking that you may be on the doing the estimation, you are thinking like days and he is thinking an hour. It's a depend upon the complexity hour. But again, a story points is doing by the same of the Scrum team who is going to work. So generally you have to, once you will start the job, you will keep in mind like, oh, it's a complexity.
पॉइंट हम ऐसे डिफाइन करते हैं ना, जैसे मैंने कहीं से पढ़ा था, समझ के RFID, समझ के बारकोड इम्प्लीमेंट किया, ठीक है? अब QR कोड इम्प्लीमेंट करना है, तो उसमें डिस्कशन होता है कि बारकोड किया था, उसका कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी पॉइंट था 6 था, उससे ज़्यादा कॉम्प्लेक्स है ये मेजरमेंट अपने दिमाग में चलाते हैं।
ये तब स्टार्ट होगा ना जब काम हो चुका है। अगर स्टार्टिंग में आप हैं तो आपको एक हाइपोथेटिकल लेके चलना पड़ेगा।
अगर फर्स्ट टाइम है तो
need to think about
That's why I am telling. Whatever I am telling, it's the first time.
we need to think about hours and days. If I am able to do it in 5 days, then I have to define 5.
No, it's a complexity. It's a complexity. Okay, 5 days. Listen, my things. If you think that it should be done into the 5 days, so you have to think like 5 days means 8 hours. So you might be said 40, but do you think so it's a story point much complex? Complexity level is different than the day level, day wise.
You can say the rating, I will give the rating point.
Can say.
That means that
around the work done for the days or hours.
Yes, can say.
Like
I
rating
can
value.
give 40 story points to a task, but can do that in
2 hours
say
also.
5 days.
Yes, can say. Even 2 hours also. Yes, sir.
Can I say that if I rate anything as 8 and anything else as 3, then the time that will take to do a 3 wala job should be 40% of the 8 wala job.
Yes, one time can say like generally complexity wise. Complex means वो इतना complex है कि जो 8 वाला है, that one is the 3 times more than the 3.
Okay, जैसे हम function point analysis पढ़ते थे.
Yes, you are right.
Function point analysis पढ़ते थे, उसमें 2 चीजें होती थी कि what is the total work throughput.
Yeah.
इतना काम करना है. और ये काम आसान है या ये काम मुश्किल है.
Yes,
दो
yes.
चीजें होती थी.
Yes, yes.
Complexity of the task and the total work जैसे volume. ठीक है. तो एक तो है कि हम कहते हैं कि वर्क ब्रेकडाउन स्ट्रक्चर में करते थे कि एक सेव बटन बनाना है कि ये ऊपर के 5 कॉलम को डेटाबेस में डाल देगा.
Yes.
It looks like one single task. अगर उसी सेव बटन के अंदर वो जो 5 चीजें हैं 25 टेबल में जा रही हैं, 2 को इंसर्ट कर रही है, 5 को अपडेट कर रही है, that becomes a complex task.
Of course.
है
Yes.
वो सेव बटन ही है, वो 5 कॉलम ही.
Yes, but what complex है?
हाँ, तो अब which one we are talking? We are talking about that कि वो 5 टेबल में जाएगा या सिर्फ 5 कॉलम का एक सेव बटन, मतलब it is a work breakdown structure or it is a complexity of the work.
So it's
Or it's
a
a combination.
can say like the both of the combination because like save button is there, then Ajit has started to discussion with you. You are a product owner, so he will ask you what do you mean by the save button. Save button will go to the college information also there also. So once you define that this is the complexity, based upon this whole team member will give the complexity level. Means वो उसके complexity level देने से पहले story point देने से पहले you have to know that the WBS can say like the WBS of that particular task. So type of hybrid, can say type of hybrid. It's a first steps. Like second, what will happen in the second 2 or 3 after 2 or 3 sprints when you know about the product owner, their task, complexity and all these things. Might be the story points come low or higher, but still a story point doesn't matter. A story point is based upon time, person to person and complexity level only.
So one story
Yes,
point can be so say stories they are divided into story points.
A story is not divided into a story point. One story we put the 10 story point depend upon their complexity. Might be one story is having add a student, another story is having put the RFID of the student. RFID means a scanner, barcode, like put barcode. So might be possibility. Add is a very easy. You can say 5 story point we will do, but putting the barcode having to go into the some data should be going to some different database, calling the DLL of the barcode. So you might be thinking like 20 story points. So both are the in a story. Both are the 2 story but having the different story point.
So these 20 story points can be scattered or shared between different sprints?
No.
If you are in the product backlog before the sprint, can be. But once you are doing in the sprint planning, no. A sprint planning, no.
So
A sprint planning will come with the story.
Define the complexity.
Huh?
On what basis we will define the complexity?
Complexity defined upon your base, your judgment. I told you, no. Sally is thinking 5 story point is enough for this ad. You are thinking 13. How you are thinking you have to define? See, it's based upon you only. And how you will get? Yeah, I am agree. First 2-3 sprints, if the project is just started, first 2-3 sprints it would be fake. Like might be possibility sometimes Sally thinks okay 5 is the fine complexity level. Ajit is thinking 10 is the fine and might be it comes like 12 or 3 only. So some 2-3 sprints is okay with the Scrum. A Scrum says like that if you are doing the fake estimation up to the 3 sprints, that's okay because 3 sprints means we are measuring your velocity, you are still thinking the task complexity comparison level. This all you are thinking, so you can okay with that. After 3 sprints, you will be okay. You will adapt yourself up to that level, how they are defined the product backlog. So after 3, you might be giving the up to right marks.
So the final complexity is the average of all or the minimum one?
Both, depend upon the task and discussion. Almost average. Almost average. Almost time average. We can't say minimum, no. Almost time average. But average should be follow like not 9 like 5, 8, like this.
No,
Fibonacci series.
maybe
Fibonacci series.
For example, if Shelly said that it is a task of 3 stories.
3 stories, and you.
Ajit says that it is a task of 8 story points.
3, 8. Okay.
And then, if Shelly explains that how we will be going to do that, and Ajit agrees with this.
Ajit agrees with the 8. Shelly agrees with the 3.
Ajit agrees with this explanation of the task.
Okay.
But he do not agree with that it is 3 story point. According to him, after discussion of the task also, the process also, it will take 5. Then if there is a manager, for example, if it is a waterfall model in a manager, then manager will think that she is saying that 3 and he is agreed with 5. Then we should give 3 because it is possible in 3. But here what we
Manager will take care only.
No manager, product owner, scrum master, scrum team and a stakeholder will be there. So suppose Sally is telling 3, Ajit from 8, he came to 5. So again he will decide like 3. Whatever he is thinking 3 or 5. So general cases, whatever in estimation I thought that 5 would be come into the picture in general cases. Actually we are creating the complexity, I mean the story point of the product backlog item.
So what is this slide all about? We are not estimating, right? We are only calculating story points.
Yes.
Okay. We are not estimating the hours.
No.
ये तो हमारा बैकलॉग है,
हमारा complexity यही है।
रिलेटिव
Yes.
ये है, वो इसकी रिलेटिवली ज़्यादा टाइम लगेगा,
इसके relatively
कम टाइम लगेगा। That's all.
Yes.
तो ये please correct me if I'm wrong. ये तो intellectual discussion है।
ये
this is just an intellectual discussion.
Yes, तो Scrum team intellectual है।
What we are solving on this page?
Okay. Once we have defined the estimates story point in the product backlog, I'm coming 2 days after 2 slides. It will come like one is the item 1, 2, 3, 4, and having the estimation prioritize like 1, 3, 2 something. Estimation 3, 5, 8. I mean a story point is there. So like suppose if team velocity is doing the story point is like 13 or 20. So in that case, the team will be able to do this 3 jobs. If the the velocity of the team to do the particular 14 or 20 story point within one sprint, he can start to work in this 3.
How will define the velocity of the team?
Very first time it's a fake, like we can think, we will ask like kitna kar sakta, Scrum Master duty, like a Scrum Master will think, we have the such type of technical guys, they can do like 3 or more story points. But after 3 sprints, we create an average scenario. Like in first sprints you created 20, another sprints 13, another sprints 18. So whatever the average will come 15 we will next 4 sprints, next 4th sprints, we will only pick the 15th story point task. Either 3 task backlog, 3 task or 4 task or 1 task, whatever.
So
for that we are doing.
So what we are trying to estimate is that when we have done the estimation for the story points, we will be in a situation where we can decide that in a sprint how many backlog items can be picked so that
Yes.
within a time bound we can finish a project.
Yes.
But the story point is not say it is just a unit. It is not saying that this is going to take this much time or not.
No, not.
So there might be a story point that is more complicated than the other story point. It is only the unit of the task.
Yes, complexity. That's why I'm telling you, complexity.
complexity, right?
Yes, relatively complexity.
ऐसा होगा ना, अरे इसमें यार यूजर मैनेजमेंट से ज़्यादा टाइम लगेगा और
Yes.
और इस मेंटेनेंस से कम लगेगा।
Yes.
अगर यूजर मैनेजमेंट में 4 पॉइंट्स लगे थे और इसमें 12 पॉइंट लगे थे तो इन दोनों के बीच में होगा कहीं पर।
हाँ,
इसी बात है ना?
yes. सर, ओपन कर।
ठीक है, so basically with this particular 2 points, one is estimation, relative estimation, and the velocity. Basically, we are trying to fix the wrong estimation estimation problem, right?
Yep.
In the project. So this is what we are trying to fix.
Now, next. No, I mean estimation is done. A lump sum story point we have given to the product backlog. Product owner is having the product backlog. Now, what is the release? I told that every sprint is not a release. So, what is that amount of work points, like 100, whatever that is, time of a sprint? Like if suppose after define the product backlog, he found that there is 500 story points. 500 story points, and he found that, oh, better to do the release of 50 story points will go to the release according to them. So they will put like this release chart, release plan like this. Whatever the time of a sprint, whatever the amount of work of point is done, and it's a release point. This one will shows the velocity of the work, the green line. It shows the velocity of the team. Whatever your velocity in one sprint, two sprint, three sprint. So average velocity, whatever is going on, it will show. Another one is that when we will use the main release, if there is a last final where we will get the product here. These all these things is the release planning. So release planning is specifically apart from this story point. Generally we use the release planning based upon the feature. Like if we have the college applications, so in